Hey, it's Whitney from ecovegangal.com and welcome back to the weekly Q&A, which happens every Saturday here on the Eco Vegan Gal YouTube channel. And for those of you who are brand new, I'm going to give a quick little intro to how these work. Let's start with those of you who are watching the recording. So most importantly, you can skip forward to any part of the video, and I make it really easy for you. When you click in the description field, you can scroll down and you'll find the time codes followed by the questions. So if there's a specific thing that you're looking for, just look down there and you can just watch that if you'd like. If you don't feel like you have a lot of time or this feels too long to just sit down and focus on, I highly recommend that you listen in the background similar to a podcast. This is what most people do. They listen while they're cleaning, they're cooking, they're working out, they're walking. Whatever you want to do, you can listen in, and I will try to let you know, and if I can remember to, when I'm holding up something. You can tell by some of my verbal cues in that sense. In terms of how questions work, there are two really great ways to do this. So number one is to submit them ahead of time, and number two is to ask them live. And these Q&As combine both together. So I take about 3 to 5 questions each time, sometimes a little bit more, and I answer those, and then I open it up to the live questions. So you can get your questions answered, or you can ask them at any point, but I won't address the new questions until towards the end of this. To ask your questions live, you need to be on the Google Plus page. You can watch live on YouTube, but I cannot see your comments or your questions on the YouTube page. So go to Google Plus, and you can find the link on the Eco Vegan Gal Facebook page, on the Twitter account, or directly at google.com/plus Eco Vegan Gal. You click on the event, it opens up, you watch the video, and on the right-hand side, there's something called the Q&A app. This is a built-in widget where you can type in your questions. This works on Mac and PC. You don't have to install anything special. You can also do this on your mobile device. So Android, iOS is what I was looking for. And you can download a special app there where you can watch while you're on the go, or if you don't have access to a computer. So I would love to hear your live questions. Again, ask them up for me and I'll be able to see them when I start answering them. In terms of how to ask the questions ahead of time, so if you're watching the recording, you want to submit a question for next time, look in the YouTube description field and you'll find a link, and those will be submitted. I have hundreds to go through, so try to get to as many as possible. That's why I do at least 5 questions per Q&A, and sometimes your content will be built into other aspects of Eco Vegan Gal YouTube channel or the other YouTube channels. If you're not familiar, I have a channel all about just the food that I eat. It's very casual. I have a dog channel about raising a vegan, eco-friendly dog, and I have a business channel, so if you ever want to learn about how I run my online brand, you've got that there too, and the links are down below. Also, towards the end, I have special announcements. I used to do these at the beginning, but I realized you just want to jump right into the questions. So I'm going to save those till the end from now on. There'll be announcements on giveaways, things that are going on, new offers for you, new discounts, whatever I have, and if I have a review of a product or something that day. So stay tuned to the very end or come back when you have time. Let's jump into the questions today. I'm very excited about these as usual. Okay, so the very first one comes from Rachel, who asked, or mentioned first before her question, that she commutes 60 miles to work nearly every day. She brings a lunch, and her lunch box is currently filled with plasticware and disposable plastic baggies. She didn't realize that this was a problem until recently, so she's been searching online for recycled options, wooden utensils, but she hasn't really come up with much. So she wants to know if I can suggest an affordable and eco-friendly utensils, bags, etc. for someone that's bringing their lunch, and any tips and brand recommendations. Absolutely. I wish I had them nearby, but my absolute favorite is called to-go-ware. By the way, anything I mention in these videos will be linked down below in the description field, including this. So if you want to check it out, check out the link down below. To-go-ware is really wonderful. I've had it for years. They're utensils made from bamboo, super durable, and you can just give them a wash like any other utensils. It includes a spoon, a fork, a knife, and chopsticks. They come in a little soft case, and you can put them in your purse, your bag. You can put them in your car. whatever is convenient for you. Those are really phenomenal. There are a variety of different options for bags. So you can actually look for biodegradable plastic-like Ziploc type bags. There are a few brands that are made from plants like corn. Those I haven't had the best luck with. There's this one brand that like falls apart, and that's no good at all. But I'm hoping they've improved since I've tried them, so you can check them out. I'll link to them down below. I don't remember their name off the top of my head. Or you can just do a search for biodegradable Ziploc bags or whatever they call them. Ziplocs, the name brand, right? So they're not made by Ziploc, but another company makes something very similar. Or you can go the reusable route. There are some really great options if you're bringing things like a sandwich. And there's a company that starts with the word lunch, and I forget what the full name is. So again, I'll link to that down below once I remember it. But they're little bags that are washable, and they're made of a variety of different materials. And they have like a little, some of them have Velcro, and some of them kind of zip up. So I'll put those options down below. Those are really wonderful. And if you have something with liquid, glass is always great. You can get some durable glass. A number of companies make that. Or you can go with stainless steel. That's really wonderful too. There are so many options. I think one of the companies is called Lunch Bots, but I'll confirm in the description field down below once I get to that. And if anyone else has great experience with packing lunches with eco-friendly materials, let me know. I've talked a lot about stainless steel bottles and glass bottles that you can get for your water and other beverages. There's some really great stainless steel containers right now that are insulated, so you can use them for hot or cold liquids, and they will keep things really hot for, I think, 12 hours, and they'll keep other types of beverages really cold for up to 24 hours. So if you have a smoothie or something, or some sort of drink, those are really great if you have a long day. I would check those out down below and let me know what you think. Okay. Question number 2 comes from Caitlin, and I actually have 2 very similar questions, so I'm going to tackle these around the same time, but I'll treat them separately. So this person asked if I had any ideas for dealing with mental health issues. I'm going to leave out some of the specifics. I'm not going to mention the last name, of course, but this person has been vegetarian for 4 years and has been suffering with anxiety. So she's been told that she should take medication for this, but she doesn't feel comfortable taking medications. She doesn't want to deal with the side effects. And she strongly believes that the food we eat relates to the health of every part of our body. Of course, I agree that food is our healthcare. And she ideally wants to be on a raw or mostly raw vegan diet, but it's not realistic. She's wondering if I have any ideas for foods that can help with anxiety. So off the top of my head, I don't have a medical degree, so whenever I answer questions like this, I really want to preface this that it is really beneficial if you can find a knowledgeable medical practitioner. So this doesn't necessarily have to be a standard doctor, because most doctors actually get very little education in nutrition. So if you want to talk to a registered dietitian, a nutritionist, someone that really has a lot of experience, a degree, and has been practicing ongoing, that would be my first recommendation for you, because anything major in our life that affects our health is really an important, sensitive subject that should be handled with a professional. And for me, my experience is based on years and years of research and personal experience. So that's what I speak from. So that's my little disclaimer there. In that terms, I have had my share of anxiety, and I find that eating a clean diet overall is really helpful. I don't know of any specific foods that are great for anxiety, although I'm sure they exist, and they're just not coming to me off the top of my head. You could do a search for that. You could type in on the web anxiety, healthy foods or something. I'm sure there's a whole list. But remember that this is going to be kind of a subtle difference. It depends on how intense your anxiety is. It depends on how much of a big deal this is. So that's why having some sort of medical professional guidance there is really helpful, right? And that's why a nutritionist or a dietitian might be the way for you, or someone that practices Chinese medicine. You can take herbs. Now, herbs are considered a food, right? You could try fresh herbs or dried herbs. someone that practices Chinese medicine could put together some really great solutions for you, and things that you can drink in a tea, things that you can take in capsules or powder form. There's lots of great herbs out there, and that would be my number one recommendation. And or essential oils can be really wonderful for this too. So looking up companies, I did a video about a year ago about this company called Well Scent, and they actually have a lot of formulations for anxiety and really just keeping your body in a happy, relaxed state. And it's a very subtle effect, but I definitely feel that it works. Aromatherapy makes a huge difference. Plus, certain oils actually can manipulate our cells. So they affect us at the cellular level by coming through our skin, by coming through our breath and what we're smelling. So check out essential oils, check out herbs, go to an herbalist, and talk to a nutritionist and or dietitian. You can do consultations online or in person. I really love Juliana Hever, the plant-based dietitian. She's been on the show several times and is so knowledgeable. She's a great starting point, and I deeply trust her. So you can start with her and just see what she has to advise. And next time she's on the show, I'll be sure to talk about this. In terms of going back to the food thing, what I did want to say is that I found, and I still find, that it's not just about the foods that we eat or what we put on our body. It's also highly about our mental state. Now, of course, there are some things that we may not be able to control. It's biological or it's an actual disorder. But I feel like a lot of us don't realize how powerful we are emotionally and mentally. And we have so much that we can work through. So a psychologist is really a wonderful person, or a therapist, anyone that you can work towards, or even someone that can just talk with you or listen to you is really helpful. Taking time for yourself to de-stress, getting enough sleep, getting enough exercise, those are so key. A lot of the stress that builds up in our body is a result of not taking the best care of ourselves, and that can result in things like anxiety. So I feel like that, plus eating whole foods, really helps because it's keeping our body as less stressed as possible. So when it comes to food, it's more about what you're not eating. So focusing on these whole foods, so unprocessed foods, as little packaged as possible, and then reducing or completely taking out sugar, maybe salt, and maybe even oil from your diet can help a lot too, for a variety of reasons. I would say sugar would be a number one. It's such a stimulant for us, and that can cause all sorts of stress reflexes in our body. So I would really look into that, and there's some great books about this. I've also talked about this book about allergies, a 7-day allergy makeover. That book is really interesting too, because it's so much bigger than allergies, and there's so much information in that. So someone like Dr. Susan Bennett, who wrote that book, specializes in allergies, but could probably still help you. So you can check out her website, you can check out her book, which I'll link down below. You could even reach out to her and see if she knows somebody that can work with you online. A very similar question, I'm going to leave the name off for this one. So this woman said, I was wondering if you have any advice for people who suffer with anxiety and confidence problems. I've always been a nervous person and struggle talking in front of large groups. Is there anything you have found that helps you or others you know in my situation? I would also like to build my low self-esteem. So this question is really great to complement the last one. I've kind of covered, or I feel like I've covered the best of my knowledge, the anxiety side of it, and then let's focus on the confidence. This is something that I become more and more passionate about. I even have been thinking that I might want to write an ebook on this or do some sort of bigger program. I recently covered this in my Pick My Brain sessions, which I'm now doing, in which I have these little group virtual workshops. And I wanted to focus in on confidence because it is so crucial to building your brand, to being successful in life. So whether or not you're thinking business minded or you're just thinking social situations, your confidence is so huge. And this is something that I've been aware of and working on for as long as I could remember. I almost said my entire life, but I'm not sure if I was under 10 if I was thinking of this. But I feel like it's always kind of been in my brain. So I started picking up a lot when I was in high school, just insecurity and really wanting to not be insecure. I noticed how other people were insecure and how that was affecting them and how I felt when I was around insecure people. And I realized I didn't really want to have that energy in my life. I didn't want to behave that way. I also really admired the people that were confident. You know, these were the popular people. These were the people that you just felt magnetized towards, and that just became such an important thing in my life. And I realized that the less insecure I was and the more confident I was, the more successful, the better I felt about myself, the more people who wanted to be around me and in my life. It benefited me on so many levels, but it's taken a long time and a lot of practice. You can even look back 6 years ago at my old videos and see how much I've shifted. In fact, even a year or two ago, I've shifted a lot in terms of how I am on camera, and people that know me even in person, it starts to evolve, right? There are so many different levels to this that may be challenging to summarize in a short answer here, but really the biggest key is to start to focus in on yourself and understand what may be getting in your way, what may be causing your insecurities, what may be leading to your low self-esteem. And this takes a lot of work. This takes a lot of inner reflection. You might want to get into the practice of meditation. And in fact, this is really great for anxiety too. A lot of people have been able to resolve their anxiety issues by meditating on a daily basis. If you're brand new to meditation, there are lots of great resources for you online. You can watch videos on this, you can listen to audio, you can read books. One of my favorite resources is my friend Karen Baginski, and she has actually recovered from depression through meditation and through yoga. So you can check out her website. I'll link to it down below. It's called You Again Yoga, and she has a whole meditation guide that really is built around raising people's self-esteem, helping people with anxiety and depression, and reminding us how special we all are and how we are all so capable of this. One thing that you could do instantly if you want to start getting results right away and you're not quite ready to invest in something is to subscribe to a newsletter like hers. Her newsletter is so uplifting. It goes out every Sunday, and it's always about getting us kind of mentally tuned in to these things and emotions that we may be feeling. So that to me would be my biggest recommendation. Look for people that are specializing in this, specializing in raising your self-esteem and recovering emotionally, meditation, all of this. And the more you start to pay attention to their tips and tune into yourself, you will start to blossom if you really want to. It does take a commitment to become confident, to grow your self-esteem. You have to believe in yourself. You have to want it. You have to go for this. And it will benefit every life. Trust me. I have seen huge shifts in my finances, in my health, in the way I socialize with other people. All those important things in our life can benefit from a rise in self-esteem. So I obviously am very passionate about this, and I think I need to do a lot more. And let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see more on this topic, and if so, anything specific. One thing that you might enjoy is my Eco Vegan Gal Uncensored channel. I actually get into these topics pretty frequently there, and I share very vulnerable moments in my life and reflect on them and grow through them. And it's really created this incredible community. So you're welcome to join me over there. The link is down below. I would love to see you, and I post videos there at least once a week. Moving on to the next question. This one comes from Kelly, who asked, what is something about veganism that brings you so much inner joy? Something that would possibly surprise your audience. I didn't think of this ahead of time, so I'm going to answer off the top of my head as I do with a lot of these questions. To me, what brings me inner joy is knowing that we're kind of healing ourselves through the plant-based diet and the vegan lifestyle when we do it right. And what I mean by that is, to me, well, I shouldn't really use the word right, because that means something could be wrong, and I don't like the word wrong. And the word right can also feel like if you don't agree with me, then you're wrong, right? So let's take away that word. Let's say that when you're coming from a place of compassion for every living creature, when you're taking care of yourself, when you're looking out for other people, when you're protecting the earth, when you're doing everything you can to save animals, that is creating so much love and peace in the world. And to me, that's massive inner joy. To, to me also, it's not just about what I'm doing, but it's what other people are doing and how we work together. And when other people are sharing passion, when they're doing things in a positive way, when they're really doing everything that they can and reaching into their heart to figure out what the best decision is for everyone and everything, then that to me is true joy. That's true satisfaction, right? It's coming together because there are many aspects of this life that are very negative, that are very polarizing, that are about fighting and wars and all this. You turn on the news, you just glance at CNN.com, and it's just full of depression, depressing stories, horrible things that are happening. If you were to focus on all of that, it would seem like life is just full of misery. But for me, my inner joy is focusing on the opposite of that, the positive things, because that to me is the only way we can overcome all this adversity and all these problems that we have. Is it's almost always a result of not enough love, right? And that might seem like a stretch for some of you, but I truly, truly believe in this. And so to me, veganism is very important because I feel like I'm doing something good with every bite of food that I take, with every vegan product that I purchase, with just any conversation I have with vegans. It's perpetuating this. It has brought my health to another level, which also impacts my joy in my life. So it's an all around thing. And it all comes back to that loving, compassionate way of life. I don't know if that would surprise anyone, but if that's what you were looking for, Kelly, I hope so. Otherwise, let me know. If I ever answer a question, it's not quite what you meant, come back around and let me know, and I'll expand upon it again. And as start asking your live questions anytime if you're watching live right now. Remember, do that at Google+. So google.com/+ eco-vegan-gal. Click on the event link, then open up the video and look on the right-hand side for the Q&A app. It's a widget on the right-hand side. You could ask in the event page, but I probably won't see those today. So, and please don't ask on YouTube because I can't see those until we're done recording. Okay, 2 more questions, and then I will open it up to your live questions. This next one comes from Karen. Karen said that she is a student from East Los Angeles College, and she changed careers. She's now going for a veteran technician, and she was wondering if I could let her know how to make vegan clothing with material. She also wants to know if she can work with animals because she's very compassionate about it. And I think that's it there. It's a little bit of a longer paragraph there I had to scan through. So number 1, I've never made my own clothing. Yeah, not officially. I played around with it a little when I was younger, but really the great thing is that many of the materials that we use for clothing are vegan: cotton, bamboo, hemp. Those are all really wonderful materials and easy to find. I really encourage you to look for organic materials or materials that aren't used with toxic dyes, materials that are made in the US if possible. The materials that you want to stay away from are leather, silk, cashmere, and wool, things that come from an animal or from some sort of living creature like a bug or something like that. If there's that cruelty involved, it's not considered vegan. Now, some people will argue that of course, plants are alive too, but it's a completely different experience with that there. So really I would start with cotton if I were you. If you can find organic cotton, great. Or if you can at least find cotton that wasn't grown with pesticides and doesn't use natural dyes, that'd be wonderful. Probably the best source for this is online, but we're so fortunate in Los Angeles to have access to a ton of eco-friendly material. So I bet somewhere in downtown Los Angeles, there is a source of organic cotton fabrics. I don't know any off the top of my head, but if anyone else watching knows about that, please let me know. Otherwise, Karen, I recommend for you to just do a search online, look up for organic cotton fabric, Los Angeles. You might be able to go to a store like Michael's or any of these craft stores. I bet you they have at least something organic in there or some type of fabric. You could also look for kind of the man-made materials like polyester or vinyl or something like that. It depends what you're making, but also remember that those are usually have more chemicals in them. So it depends. You can sometimes get recycled fabrics though too. So go to some stores, do some research online, look around, and when you find a really great source, let me know so that I can tell other people. And in terms of the other question, a place where you can work for animals, number one, volunteering at an animal shelter would be so helpful, especially in LA. And in fact, downtown LA, I know has a big animal shelter that always needs help. So that would be huge. You could volunteer also at an animal sanctuary. The closest one to LA is a little bit far, so that might be too far for you. But if you want to go on the weekends, you can make that work too. And there are often job availabilities, job openings at these type of places too. So you might start interning or volunteering there, and that can grow into another job. Or your experience as an intern can help you somewhere else. But I think any place where you can help animals in terms of saving them or healing them, getting them new homes, even rescuing them. There's a number of great organizations that go out and will get cats for stray cats or stray dogs or whatever like that. I mean, look around for those opportunities online. And I'm sure PETA has a great list of those organizations, and you can email them, contact them through social media, give them a call, or even just look on their website. They probably have a listing of job openings or volunteer opportunities. One last question actually came from Karen again, and I thought this was a good one. She said that she loves my makeup and fashion, so she wants to know what my favorite color is, and she wants to know about more tips on the vegan diet. My favorite color is always a toss-up between blue and purple. It's a hard one for me because sometimes it depends what it is. Sometimes I really love blue, and sometimes I really love purple. If I had to pick, I'd probably say purple. Yeah. And in terms of just tips on going vegan, because you want to go vegan, it's, that's what the whole Eco Vegan Gal channel is about, in the website, social media. I just recommend staying in touch with people online. That is such a huge support. Surrounding yourself with people in person and online is huge. Trying out vegan restaurants. You live in Los Angeles, you have an abundance of places. Just start going to them. Start swapping out your food little by little. Try some new vegan things, like try a vegan cheese, try a vegan milk, try a vegan meat alternative. I mean, there are so many different ways. And then once you find the foods that you love, just add more and more to that cart every time you go shopping, and you will slowly transition into veganism. If you want to do it overnight, you just go to the store, get all the vegan stuff, and then donate all the non-vegan stuff to a shelter or put it in your compost bin or something like that. But it can happen really, really fast. And I wrote a whole ebook about how to eat healthy and vegan on a budget, which I think is really great for people starting out, because a lot of us have this concern about money. And I want you to know that it does not have to be expensive to eat a vegan diet, to live a vegan lifestyle. You can check out that book that will be linked down below. It's called Healthy Organic Vegan on a Budget. And it's as in-depth as I possibly could get so far, and I'm adding to it constantly. And it's just been such an amazing process, and I hope that benefits you. So now let's open it up to the live questions. I'm going to open up the Q&A app and see what we have so far. All right, we've got some questions here. And remember, everyone watching, please ask your questions on Google+, not YouTube. So one last time, go to google.com/+eco-vegan-gal. If you're having trouble finding that, you can go to the Eco Vegan Gal Facebook page or the Eco Vegan Gal Twitter account and find the link. You'll get directed to the event page. You need to click on the video and it'll open up. You'll see me talking. You'll hear me talking. On the right side, there's a little widget. It's a white bar with a place for you to type in your comments. The other cool thing is that you can vote up other people's comments. So if you don't have one, but you like somebody else's, you just click the +1 and it bumps it to the top. So I always do them in order. So let's start off with the one that got the most, is feasting on fruit. She said, I believe it's a she, right? I would love to live in Southern California one day since it seems to be more eco-minded and vegan-friendly than where I live now, which is Florida. However, I've heard that it's quite expensive. Since you live in this area, I'd love to hear your thoughts. First of all, I know a number of people in Florida that are vegan. So, it's definitely possible to thrive on the vegan diet in Florida. It's another tropical climate, so you have access to so much food year round. Depends what part of Florida you're in, I suppose. I know people near Fort Lauderdale, Miami, forget where the other major area of Florida is. Tampa, I think. And yeah, I know people all over. So if you need any advice on any of that, just let me know and I can connect you with people. You can meet them online. Don't give up. And this applies to anywhere in the country, in the world. You would be surprised how many vegans are around you and you just don't know it yet. So I really encourage you to connect with others, find meetup groups in person, or just seek out people in your area. You never know. There could be cool events happening at natural markets or restaurants happening. I just said that again. I'm repeating myself. But my point is that I think starting to look for other people that can support you in your area is going to be huge. And if you don't want to actually meet them in person, you could do this virtually as well. And they might have all sorts of great ideas for how to make it easier for you. But in terms of living in Southern California, listen, I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I wrote the book, Healthy, Organic, Vegan on a Budget. And I do that in LA. When the concept of the book first started, I was living in San Francisco, which I think is the most expensive city in the US right now. Either that or it's right neck and neck with New York City. So I promise you that you can eat really well on a budget. And in terms of your living expenses overall, I also, when you buy the book, you get this free bonus PDF that has all of these tips on how to save money and all of your lifestyle so it can feed back into food. I really feel like there is a way for everyone to live really well without spending a lot of money. And this is pretty relative though. It just, when I say everyone, I mean there's a possibility for everyone. You just have to start to learn how to put the right practices in place and have the right resources set up for you there. So for example, some people think that they can't get a job doing something, but really there's so many different ways to make money and we can get really creative and be resourceful. I've been doing this my whole life. And I've learned so much about just working and having flexibility and finding ways to make money. And that's why I've become so passionate about it. So I've been living in LA for close to 10 years. I've had some times where things were a little tight, but I've never felt like I couldn't live here. So that's kind of the end all question there. I moved here right when I was finishing college and I barely had any money. And so I just had to be strategic. I found inexpensive places to live. I found jobs all of the time. I've never been jobless. I've worked more jobs than I could possibly count. So many different positions, so many different industries and all of that. And I've just made things work and I've been really good at budgeting. So I don't think it would be as much as you think. And the cool thing about LA is we have so many different pockets, different areas. So if you live by the beach, generally that's really expensive. If you live in Beverly Hills or Brentwood or Bel Air or something, it's going to be really expensive. Then there are different areas though. It's just like probably most cities where there's really nice parts and then there's not so nice parts. There's parts where the college students are. There's parts where the people right out of college live. It's really just finding those affordable places or getting a roommate. I mean, trust me, there's a way to live out here for not a lot of money. And if you ever need specific advice on that, I would be happy to provide it. Okay, so Casey said, I'm a therapist and I wanted to agree with you about the idea of each of us having the power to fix our emotional and physical selves. So true. You mentioned seeing a therapist. Talk therapy is extremely helpful. You sound like a therapist, Whitney. Good job. Thank you. I've been in therapy before and I've always just had a passion for helping people overcome their mental challenges. So I feel like it's just something so important for all of us to look into and consider. And you don't have to go to an official therapist, as I mentioned. There are so many options that are therapy-like. Even just getting a really great self-help book can be helpful. I read business books all the time, and some of my favorite business books are those that are kind of based around uh, like a therapeutic perspective, emotional perspective. Right now, I'm reading Tony Robbins' new book, and that book is really heavily built around that you can do it. These are the emotional things you need to get over. Everybody's powerful. And that's what's made Tony Robbins so successful. So there are so many resources for us, and I don't want any of you to feel helpless or that you have to give up. You all can do whatever you put your mind to. And Casey, I'm so grateful that you are providing that for the world too. And if you offer virtual services, please let us know. Maybe some of you can talk with Casey about some options and do some talk therapy together. Just a quick shout out to Sunny, who said that she loves my videos. Thank you so much. That means a lot. I love making videos for all of you. Okay, what else do we have here? So Brianna asked or said she's been vegetarian for about 6 years now and she would like to take the plunge. I love that term. What are some good tips to avoid fast food? It's really hard in college. I integrate vegan options into my meals now. I actually did a video on what to eat in college, and I will link to that down below. This was back in September when I was doing all the videos about eating on a budget. So it provided a bunch of different meals. I would say, you can check out that video that's much more in depth, but just a quick little preview of it. It's really just focusing in on foods that are convenient, and it's going to depend on your living situation. So when my freshman year of college, I actually had a really great setup. I was living in Boston, and we had a refrigerator that my roommate brought in. I don't think we had anything else, but you could get a microwave in your room. Not that I advise a microwave, but in some ways that might be healthier than eating fast food if you're heating up healthy vegan food, right? It might destroy some of the nutrients. That's why I hesitate. Another option could be a hot plate or something. But just having a refrigerator in your room, which many college students do, and you can go in on this with your roommate, get them secondhand, that can be so wonderful because you could actually make a variety of different foods and then keep them in your refrigerator. What I also had in my dorm building was a kitchen. So the entire dorm had access to this. And so you could go in there and use the stove or the oven or the sink and the counters and all that stuff to chop up food. So if you have access to that, then you can make a variety of meals in that kitchen and bring them back and store them in your refrigerator, bring them back to the kitchen when you want to heat them up. I would say that would be huge because that will save you money and that will keep you away from eating the fast food. And fast food, I feel like, is really something that we go to for convenience because we're not prepared. So it's not necessarily going to save us time because you still have to leave your home and go get the fast food. Why not just leave your home and go get fresh ingredients that you can make your own? By the time you get to the fast food place, you have to order and you have to eat and bring it home. And at the end of the day, it takes almost exactly the same amount of time to go to the grocery store. And if you go to the grocery store and have like a meal plan in place and you prep up your food in advance, you can have days and days worth of food. And if you have a freezer, you can freeze a lot of food and bring that out for convenience. So that will save you money, time, and it's beneficial to your health. There are really great meals that you can make like out of jars and cans. You can get BPA-free chickpeas, for example, mash them up in a bowl, chop up some ingredients like pickles and celery. You can put in a little bit of mustard and a little bit of vegan mayo, whip that up, and that makes a vegan tuna. That's one of my favorites. I mentioned that so many times in my videos because it's so satisfying. And then you just put that in some bread, and you can do that all with a cutting board and a mixing bowl. Super easy. It can be peanut butter and jelly sandwiches are great, any sort of wrap, or just eating lots of fruits and vegetables, having those around for you to snack on can resist the temptation to eat fast food, to go to the convenience store, to go to the drive-through or whatever. I wish I had had these tips when I was in school, but Fortunately, the vegan diet really opened my eyes to healthier ways of eating, and it has been wonderful. So I hope that that helps you out, Brianna, and please check out that other video where I have a lot more meal ideas for you. Okay, so the Robinson asked, where does your enthusiasm and motivation come from? Is there a way to generally spread the vegan word about from day to day that is effective? So for me, I think I just happen to be naturally enthusiastic and motivated. And I feel like people are drawn to that, so it kind of builds upon itself, right? Once I realized that people enjoyed that aspect of my personality, I kind of just to be more and more enthusiastic and motivated. And I've also recognized so many times in my life that positivity can get you very, very far. And staying motivated is one of the keys to committing to something and making something happen, to being successful. And that definitely applies to the vegan way of life. I really believe that spreading veganism is majorly, but also having compassion towards others and understanding that people have been raised completely differently from you. So their background, their experiences, so much of what's in their head is very different from yours. So having compassion towards them and their differences will, as you can try to reserve judgment and not, and when you take that judgment away, then people usually feel more at ease. So my goal is in conversations with non-vegans is always to kind of be clear and confident about my preferences, but and respectful of theirs. And that usually opens up the opportunity to really speak about it. I mean, this happened last night. I have these conversations constantly. I was talking to two people I just met. The veganism conversation came up. One, mentioned, well, I could never live without lamb chops. And I, said whatever. I forget exactly what I said, but she took in what I said and was just kind of, didn't really go in a positive or negative direction. It was just kind of neutral. The other person, however, once I started talking about veganism, his eyes lit up and he was so open to it. And he started asking me all of these questions. So I let him do most of the talking. I gave short answers and then let him do follow-ups. And I just found his enthusiasm and his interest building. That was so exciting. And I find that that happens more often than not, simply because people can tell that I'm not trying to judge them and I'm not trying to be right, not trying to push my ideas onto them, but that I'm listening to them, I'm respecting them, and I'm giving them the opportunity to explore it themselves. Sometimes all you have to do is give them these little nuggets of ideas and their minds will go to whatever place. And if they're interested in it, they will go forward with it. And if they have questions for you, they will ask. Okay, next question comes from Kate. Lots of questions today. Thanks, everyone. So Kate said that she's about to go to one of her favorite vegan shops in Sydney, which is in Australia, and she's going to get some Daiya cheese and the veg for the first time. Do you have any other good first-time vegan foods to try out? Oh my gosh, yes. And it's so cool that these foods are available in Australia too. One thing I hear so much is people wishing, in different countries, wishing that they had the things that we have in the US. But let me tell you that just because we have something doesn't mean that you don't have something that we don't have. I bet you there's a lot of really cool stuff in Australia, vegan food, that we don't have here. I have been dying to try this one chocolate from Germany that vegans have been raving about, for example, and it's only in Germany, so I don't even know if I could order it online. But anyways, it's really great that Daiya is there and the veg. I will tell you, if it's your first time with both of them, you're either going to really like them or not like them. I know a lot of people that love Daiya, and I know a lot of people that really don't like Daiya. So if you don't like it, try something else. Don't think that that means that all vegan cheeses are bad. And the same thing goes with the veg. The veg is very, last time I tried it might be formulated differently, but it's very, has a sulfur smell to it. And so it smells a lot like eggs. And my first reaction was, I don't know about this, but it works really well in baked goods. Off the top of my head, I just don't know what else you have access to there. I would just look for a really cool meat alternative. I mean, I don't eat those very frequently, but I do really enjoy trying new options, especially if they're gluten and soy free. So check out those. And I would check out some vegan milk alternatives too, not just your rice, your almond, or your soy, but look for something like hazelnut milk or hemp seed milk or cashew milk or quinoa milk. Those are always really fun. I like to look for those specialty products, really good vegan chocolate bars. What else do I look for? I just like walking through stores and checking everything out and looking at it. If it's vegan, if it seems like something you want to spend your money on, if it feels like it's going to satisfy some craving, go ahead and try it. And if you don't like it, number one, most stores will let you return things if you don't like them. Like you can take a bite and then return it. Okay, so that's a good way to save money. Two, just because you don't like it doesn't mean that that whole category is gone. Like I said with cheese, if you don't like Daiya cheese, try another vegan cheese. Okay. If you want a more specific answer, let me know what else you're kind of curious about or brands. And you can always ask me on social media too. And if I'm online at the same time, I can answer. So if you're at the store, feel free to tweet me and I'll answer you as soon as possible. Okay. So Jenny asked, do you think veganism is healthy for diabetics as it's pretty much carb centric? Well, the thing, Jenny, is that the vegan diet can be so many different things. It can be very different depending on how you want to eat and how you need to eat for your health. It actually has been found to prevent and reverse type 2 diabetes. So it's absolutely wonderful for that. For type 1 diabetes, I'm not as knowledgeable about that, and I would definitely look into some specifics. But I think it all depends what your definition of carbs are, because there are certainly good carbs and there are bad carbs. We're also talking processed carbs versus unrefined carbs, unprocessed carbs. So why not eat lots of fresh fruits and vegetables? Depending on the types that you're eating, most of them are going to benefit your health as opposed to being challenging for your health. Eating lots of fibrous foods, the grains and the seeds and the nuts and all of that stuff. But again, I'm not a medical professional, so I don't want to recommend something for you if this is an actual health issue. I just want to plant that seed in your head that type 2 diabetes can greatly benefit from an unprocessed vegan diet. So definitely talk to a knowledgeable nutritionist or dietitian about this that can advise you. There are also a number of books, and there's even a movie about how the raw vegan diet has affected people who have diabetes. So look into that. It's called, I think, like something about 30 days raw, and I forget. I'll put it in the description field for you to check out. But simply typing in diabetes and vegan in Google or whatever your favorite search engine is, you'll probably find books and articles and documentaries and all of that. And look for anything that is authored by an MD, and also look at multiple sources, right? That's the trick with the whole medical industry. Everybody has a different opinion. So don't just go with the first one that you read, and make sure that it's somebody with a degree and lots of experience and has some, what's the word I'm looking for? Resources and citations there, and talk to a few people in person to really get a well-rounded medical perspective. All right, let's see what else we have here. So Robinson also asked, he's noted that I have plenty of confidence. What do you find enhances your ability to be open and communicate so fluidly? So I think it's just being open and vulnerable and trusting too. I think confidence is so much about trust. That would be the number one key there, is letting go of fear too. So much of our insecurity is about this tightness or hiding, right? But I find that the more I show myself, not naked, right? Show myself like who I am and say what I want to say, the more confident I become and the more people trust me. The more I trust myself, the more confident I become. So they all feed into each other. The more I take risks, so letting go of fear, taking risks in things and trying something and not being afraid to fail, not being afraid to say the wrong thing, not being afraid to make mistakes. That also helps too. And confidence is ultimately so much about experience. I think if you are afraid and you don't do something because you're afraid, you're not going to get experience. You're never going to know what it's like. But if you try something, you get that experience, and then you can find out, did you do it, quote unquote, right or wrong? And if you do it wrong, you just have to correct yourself. But you can't really correct yourself if you never try in the first place. It really comes out of that ability to just try something new and that ability to just recover and believe in yourself and all of this. And it just takes this build up. This takes these leaps of faith. And I feel like confidence and or lack of confidence and the presence of fear get in the way of so many people, is they're simply afraid to experience pain. But the more open I am to experiencing pain and embracing pain and recovering from pain, the easier life gets, really. I mean, so much of life is about pain, like kind of what I was talking about earlier. We have so much pain and so much misery and negativity in our life. But if we can kind of embrace that and find a way to heal from that, then we kind of have this stronger ability to grow from it and to get better at it. So for me, like even taking pain relievers, I don't take them anymore. I take natural pain relievers sometimes. So I'll go for like a heating pad or hot water. That's a great pain reliever. Or I'll take some sort of herbal concoction or something, right? But I used to take pain relievers like ibuprofen and aspirin and all of that for headaches or for my menstruation or for various things. And I haven't taken those in years. Now, when I experience pain, I always try to find out what the source is, but then I also just try to let myself go through it. And if it's not incredibly painful, I usually can get over it, right? Sometimes there's always going to be a case where pain needs some sort of intervention. But my point being, it's same with emotional pain. We have been taught to just kind of avoid emotional pain. We avoid situations that cause us pain. We take medication to stop emotional pain that we have. We do so many different things. We eat poorly. We drink alcohol. We make poor decisions, all just hoping that we can cover up the pain, but the pain's still there underneath. Wouldn't you rather just handle that pain directly and work through it and heal it so that it's either permanently gone or gone for most of your life than try to patch it up and always have to deal with it and always have to be patching? That's up to you, but for me personally, working on the pain is usually what leads to recovery and healing, and thus confidence that I can continue to do that. Okay, I'm going to take one last question. And this comes from Brianna, who said that she usually just hides her credit cards, but then midterms happen. So yes, of course, right? We talked about stress several times in here, emotional stress or physical stress. When you're stressed out, eating fast food is not going to help. It's kind of like a temporarily patch. But if you eat whole foods, you're healing your body and you're actually reducing stress in your body when you're eating nutritious foods. When you're eating processed foods, it actually puts more stress on your body physically. So do yourself a favor and sleep as much as possible, eat as high quality food as possible, and that'll save you money and make you feel better. So you're also looking for winter break reads. Are there any books about veganism and compassionate living that you recommend? Absolutely. I have so many. I can link to, I have a little list of them on my website. But I also highly recommend that you join the book club. I have a free book club in which every month I put out a few suggestions for books, and then the people that are within the book club vote for a book. We pick a group, or the group picks a book based on whichever got the highest votes, and then we all read it during that month, and at the end of the month, we discuss it via Google Hangout. So this month, we're reading a book I'm so excited about. It is called Why We Eat Dogs, Wear Cows, and oh my gosh, I forget. It's a very well-known book. Melanie Joy wrote it, and I can't believe I'm forgetting the whole name, but we're reading that right now for our book club, and we'll be discussing it at the beginning of January. So you still have time to get in on that. I would love to have you there. We discuss it usually in the evening of a weekday or sometime in the weekend. I think we're scheduled for a Sunday. So double check. I'll have a link to the book club with all the details. I would love to have you there. And this book, I think, is going to be so fantastic. People are already loving it. So that goes to everyone out there. If you want to read books, if you want to connect with other vegans, last time we had a book club discussion, we had someone from Japan, we had someone from somewhere on the East Coast of the US, we had someone from the West Coast. I mean, we have people all over the world tuning into this and talking and supporting one another and exploring the ideas in these books. It's just so phenomenal. So Brianna just wrote, eat dogs, love pigs, and wear cows. I knew the word pig was in there somewhere. And Lisa just pointed it out too. So as Lisa can attest, Lisa has been there for the last couple of book club discussions, and it's been so amazing. So I really hope you can make it, Brianna. And if, some people just read the books and they don't actually join the discussion, that's always up to you too. All right, I'm going to wrap things up. Thank you so much for watching today. In terms of announcements, I don't really have anything huge except that there's still time to get the Food is My Healthcare shirts. I'll be shipping those out starting in the next few days. I should be getting the shirts in the next few days, and they'll be out no later than the 14th or 15th. So there's just under 10 days for you to order them to ensure that they get to you before Christmas. So go ahead and do that. The link is right down below. And also there's the book I mentioned, Healthy, Organic, Vegan on a Budget. That can be given as a gift too if you would like to. And I have the Pick My Brain sessions, which I think I mentioned. Actually, I don't know if I mentioned those today, but I do these business brand sessions in which I have up to 5 people on a Google Hangout, and we all talk about building the brand. So they're all different subject matters. We've talked about Facebook, YouTube, confidence was one that we had recently, and then upcoming we have one on monetization, one on sponsorships, hosting things on Google Plus like this. If you want to do your own Google Plus and you want advice, basically the way they work is they're an hour to an hour and a half long, and we have up to 5 people, sometimes as few as just one person. It's one-on-one, and we pick the subject matter and then we focus in on that, and it's kind of like a little workshop. So you get information about it, but then we go in and we look at what you're doing and how you can improve upon it. And the ultimate goal is to spread the word further about your passions. This is pretty much revolving around veganism, but everyone is welcome to this. And then it's about monetizing your work so that you can do this full-time or part-time, or just monetize your hobby, your passion there. So I'm really, really passionate about this. And you can learn more about this at ecovegangal.com/pickmybrain. And I'll link to it down below, of course. Those are the big projects I'm working on now. Stay tuned for the future Q&As. I have 5 amazing guests coming up. So the next 5 weeks, I'll have special guests, and each of them have amazing things to say about veganism and health. And I'm so excited. And I have a whole lineup of people for 2015 too. So stay tuned for that. And I will see you next Saturday with one of them. You'll see the announcement on Facebook and here on Google+. Thank you once again for tuning in. You being here and asking these questions means so much to me, and you help other people. Your questions inspire many, many others. So it's not just for you. You actually have a ripple effect. So I also just want to take the time to bring your awareness to how much you inspire other people with maybe not even realizing it. All right, that's it for today. I will see you next time. Until then, have a fantastic week. Bye.